Now we can see a new world coming into view.
Yes, you're right.
Out there who want to see something better for their country and who understand his duplicity. Morris is the hater.
Now, how does Morris and how does the Southern Poverty Law Center treat their own personnel? I understand that there have been quite a few defectors who have complained about the treatment that they received.
Well, pretty good treatment. This young man in the studio is grinning. How would you like to work for someone that knocked off at 11 o'clock till 2 and went down to the river to go skinny dipping? Smoke pot and drink beer. Nice place to work, isn't it? However, Morris Dees, at one point, had never promoted a person of color above a secretary. And Morris always insisted that he tell them what they needed. Now, I can back this up, not only with these certified documents, but with the testimonies of people who got tired of Morris and his patronizing attitude. One person said that the Southern Poverty Law Center was tantamount to a plantation.
Well, Jim, that's amazing. Now, for those who might be watching this documentary and saying, well, how do we know that these gentlemen that are on this videotape are objective? It is a fact that a major newspaper in Alabama ran a series exposing Morris Dees and the Southern Poverty Law Center, did they not? And
Absolutely.
And how did Morris counter that?
Absolutely. The Montgomery Advertiser did that. But Morris, I'm telling you, Morris just shakes himself and it's all at once, it's gone. We talk about a Teflon president. This is truly a Teflon leader of the left. And you said objective. Now look, let me tell you, I don't want to be objective. I don't want to be fair. I don't want to be balanced. I want to be just as abrasive and just as harsh, just as imbalanced and just as biased as the Southern Poverty Law Center is. They've been doing this every day, friends. Every time someone says anything, be it about abortion, illegal immigration, reverse discrimination, federal budget for welfare, up jumps one of Morris's little boys. And all at once this person is a bigot, a racist, a wacko, a Christian, a far-wing abortion clinic bomber. I'm sick and tired of it. I want people to know this man, this powerful man that can call 5,000 police chiefs and name any person and make them out to be a criminal, whether they're a criminal or not.
And worse yet, as you said, accuse them of being a terrorist. Now, there's a man by the name of Laird Wilcox, who is very, very well known in the intelligence community and law enforcement community as a reliable source of information on groups like the Southern Poverty Law Center. What has he said, Jim, about Morris Dees and the Southern Poverty Law Center?
Leonard Wilcox wrote a book, after much research, a book called Crying Wolf. And it was hate crime hoax. It was centered around clippings from newspapers where people had claimed that hate groups attacked them. Swastikas were painted on tombstones. The big N-word used, all types of persecution. And these clippings showed that, in fact, they were not hate crimes, they were hate crime hoax. And that is the specialty of Mr. Morris Dees. It doesn't matter who did a particular thing. Morris Dees attributes that to whichever enemy he's after that day.
And of course, again, in the process, what we're dealing with is a situation where innocent people are branded, innocent people are falsely accused, and yet, Jim, as you have pointed out, this man has an incredible Teflon coating. He himself has never held to any accountability. He is never called on the carpet, it seems, until now. Now, Morris Dees, we believe there is a very bogus image about him and about the Southern Poverty Law Center. Jim, you've touched on it. That this man actually, and we can't really overstate this man sets himself up as some kind of a supreme moral judge and arbiter in this land today, doesn't he?
He is the final word. He absolutely is the final word. Now, if you want to sue Morris, I'm telling you what you're going to run. You want to be a leader, do you? What kind of leader? You want to be a church leader? You want to be a militia leader? Sooner or later, you're going to run head on into Morris Dees and the Southern Poverty Law Center. He's going to discredit you. He's going to dismiss you as an evil, demonized person. You can't get away from that, no matter what you say. And then what you're going to first think, well, I'll sue him. You don't have enough resources to sue him. He does this with impunity and laughs at you every day, and he knows you can't do it. When he jumps on me in the paper, or one of his staff members jump on me in the paper, there's absolutely nothing I can do about it. I don't have the finances to do this. This man has the money, he has the authority, and he is running rampant across this country, falsely accusing people of every stripe.
And yet, Jim, we know for a fact, and of course you went to the archives in Alabama and ferreted out and dug out this documentation which we are featuring in this presentation. We know that in spite of what you speak of, the fact that Morris seems to be so untouchable in many ways, he refuses, of course, to deal with the truth head on, but he tried, if I'm not mistaken,
Absolutely.
to have these records expunged. Can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. The first thing that he appealed to the judge to do was to hold these hearings, trials in private, in camera, he says. We don't need this out to the public and the press. The Montgomery Advertiser writer was there, and he says, he was an old curmudgeon like myself, he jumped up and he said, I'll write about it, Judge, I don't give a damn. When they asked him to leave the courtroom, the judge later reconsidered and told Morris Dees that he could not allow any trial other than a public, open trial. And of course, when we get in this, you're going to realize why he wanted to keep this covered up.
Now, Jim, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of pages in the archives, which you have spent a great deal of time going through. And we want to, again, emphasize to the viewers of this video presentation that we have the documentation. Jim Floyd is holding it in his hands here, and those who obtain copies of this videotape will have the opportunity to have copies. Now, Jim, we're not talking about, in terms of the copies you hold in your hand, we're not talking about some type of unreliable copy. Tell us about the certification and documentation here.
Absolutely not. Of course, you'll see a picture of the Archives and History Department of the state of Alabama. This seal is a certification put there by one of the men at the Department of Archives and History in Montgomery. These are records. This department, I have the highest admiration. Usually I don't like any department of government, but when you go in, if you have a bag in your hand, if you have a overcoat on, if you have any way at all that you can conceal papers, the possibility that you might take this record out, put it in something and hide it and walk out, this is not going to happen. They've got lockers at the door. You check all your loose clothing. You check all your bags. When you go in, you carry your driver's license. You show it to the man. He records who you are. You sign a slip. He goes to the vault. He gets the records, puts them on a cart, pushes them to you. There are tables out front. You are supervised the entire time. Somebody is watching you. I asked 2 questions. Are these authentic? And the answer was yes. They came straight from the court. They have been nowhere else but in the court and here. The next question I asked, this man with his money and his political pull, is it possible for him to purge these records from your department? And again, the answer was no. Don't worry about it. They'll be here forever. You can go, you can see for yourself. We are not making up anything. We are not supposing anything. These are certified copies of Morris Dees' divorce papers, where he's accused by his wife, his daughter, and innumerable other people concerning his character. And that's what it's about. Some might say, well, those are old. We just opened a month ago the archives in Jackson, Mississippi, for papers from the 60s. Papers of what we call sovereignty papers from the Sovereignty Commission. Morris Dees was on the TV that day, and I quote, he said, "We look at the past so we can understand and see a brighter future." Morris, we're looking at your past, fella, so we can see who you are, and we're going to try to brighten up our future a little bit.
Well, and Jim, when somebody begins to get into the nitty-gritty of what you're holding in your hands there and what you have been brandishing, they begin to understand why it was that Morris wanted to expunge this record. They begin to understand why he's concerned, even though we're talking about material that dates back a little ways. We understand why he is so concerned. Let's jump right into it now at this point, and let's talk about, you mentioned earlier that Morris Dees is the true hater. What could be more hateful than betraying the trust of someone who is under your authority, under your headship, so to speak? Tell us about what Morris Dees did. Let's not pull any punches. I know you won't. Let's tell the people, according to these records, what Morris Dees did to his own stepdaughter.
You went to the saddest part first. Morris Dees, in these records, is said to have gone to the bed of his 16-year-old daughter, stepdaughter, Maureen's daughter, Holly.